Hello again, guys, and welcome back to the Retro Room. I don't know how many people will be terribly interested in a video like this. Just doing some troubleshooting and testing some parts and discs and things because the Socket 4 Pentium 60 board that I had is giving me reason for concern. First, for this Gotek, going to connect it to my test board, or what I have called before my beaten stepchild board. It has broken traces. One of these memory sockets is broken. The onboard I/O doesn't work. That's why the card's in there. But it boots and it works fine, as you can see on the screen there. But let's power him off. This cable isn't... this cable is suspect too. But I swear if it's just the cable, I'm actually going to be tickled. Okay, the Gotek's hooked up. Let's power him back on. We'll try to boot the machine off of it'll be a DOS 6.22 boot image. He'll eventually get there, but it'll probably give me a warning about hard drive. Because we don't have one. Yep. That is fine. It's a little bit concerning. It froze. Okay, that should stop any messages and it should boot a little faster. Set the floppy to the right size and made sure that it was on the right image. There it goes. Starting MS-DOS. Seems to be reading just fine. Okay. Let's turn it to an image that it was giving us trouble with. Windows 3.1 image. This is going to error out because there's no hard drive, but we're going to see if it flashes the blue screen without erroring out on us. And it does. I mean, it came up just fine. So that tells me everything I have here. The Gotek, the cable, the controller, of course the board, all works just fine. I mean, that's as far as we can go right now with that, and it seems to work just fine. That's marvelous. Okay, let's pop this off and try it on some real hardware. Well, this is real, but non-emulated floppy. Like an actual floppy disk on an actual floppy drive. I'm gonna need to boot it somehow. Let's try this DOS disk. Test the memory 3 times every time. It tested the floppy drive, made sure it was there. Energy star symbol fades away. Invalid system disk. It sure tried though, didn't it? Disk boot failure. Well, we're just striking out all over, aren't we? Disk boot failure. This is a heck of a lot of fun. Apparently I'm not doing too well with the recording. This setup is working just fine with the Gotek. It's not working too well with this floppy drive. And I'm not entirely sure why. Well, let's do an experiment. Let's get these connected. Get them powered. Okay. All right. I'm going to put both floppies on here. I'm going to try to copy one image from here to an actual floppy disk. once we get this machine booted, make sure X copy's on there. Yes. Where's my disk that says Windows 98? Okay. We're in DOS 622. That's my Windows 98 disk. So we will format that disk. Maybe the disk is bad. Seems to be formatting this one just fine. I forgot how long it took floppy disk to format. Don't need a volume label on that. No. X copy A to B. It should just do it. There it goes writing, and it sounds pretty normal. It's not making the hiccuping noises and the restarting and the resetting of the head position noises like it does when discs are bad or having trouble reading. Alright, that's that whole disk copied. Now let's switch some things around and we'll see if it can see if we can boot from that. It's entirely possible that my discs are bad. That's why those weren't working. I mean, the discs are getting rather old now. Just move the, took off the Gotek, moved the A side or the twisted side of the cable onto this Mitsumi drive. Then we will take that, take the drive B out of the BIOS. All right. Non-system disk or disk error. Oh, well, I'm just playing around with these guys anyway, but let's see what we can't figure out, huh? You know, this drive is missing quite a few pins. I don't know if that's preventing booting or anything. Maybe those are just all ground pins or something. Well, let's give what I was thinking a try. Which is just to copy the system files to this disk. Xcopy should have done that, but I guess not. But before we do that, I'm going to let this boot. I will. This doesn't take but a second, so oh, I see. System doesn't think it has two floppy drives, so why it's acting that way. We'll fix that. There's the drive test sound. All right. Well, he's doing something. System transferred. So if it's going to boot off of this disk, it has the best chance of doing so now. Just leave the disk in there, change the cable around. All right, going through the the post stuff. I don't care. It's very possible that's a bad disk. Very possible. But just to rule out that this is a bad disk, let's try a different floppy drive. All right, I got a different floppy cable just in case. We'll save that for later. And a different floppy drive. This one's a TAC, FD235HF. Pretty standard affair. Pretty typical TAC drive. This one's a little dirty. Connects like any of the rest of them. This is the disk we just made. So let's turn on the machine. Oh. I'm going to tell it that there's only the one drive. Just in case that plays any, plays into it at all. My goodness, that's loud. But it tested just fine. Well, we're not getting anything different. What's going on here? He's just noisy. And I may not have any bootable floppies. That or this drive isn't. Well, I have a couple more drives. Well, here's a couple more. I got two Mitsumis. One is beige, the other is black. Those are these two right here. One is newer than the other. This one's the older one. This one's a little bit newer. Then there's another TAC, just like the one we just tried. Let's try this one. Let's try the TAC. Got to make sure pin 1 goes in the right spot. That's where the pink side of the cable is. Again, I'm not sure if any of these discs work properly. So let's see if we can't make one. And we did make one, but that's not a trusted disc. All right, let's turn the machine on, get its BIOS figured. There we go. We'll let it boot up. That was a nice, healthy testing sound. Got a bright red disc. This will be good for testing purposes if it formats just fine. It's an iMation 1.44 meg job. It says made in the USA. How fancy is that? I don't care about new time. Go away. Let's format B just to see if it does its thing without issue. I'll tell you, that is a damn, I mean, that sounds nice. It's going, you know, about as fast as you'd expect. It's going through track by track. There's 80 tracks, but it's counting to 100%. That's why it looks like it quickly skips through a couple every now and again. No. No. We're just going to, for the purposes of testing, we can't do that. We want to do B. System transferred. All right, I will be determined to get this to boot from a physical floppy disk. It will at least rule out this cable as the culprit. I just may have a collection of bad disks and possibly drives. Now let's see what happens with this particular drive and this freshly formatted and system transferred disk. Now let's go in there and remove the B drive. It'll test the drive again. Probably. There it goes. The drive sounds good. It booted just fine. Okay. All right. Well, why don't we try a couple others? We know that disc works. Let's try these Mitsumi drives. My phone is digging behind me. All right. This says a Neutronics. It's a Mitsumi drive. Model D359T5. It's a little bit older than, but it's a pretty standard affair. Shouldn't have to change anything in the BIOS to get this to boot and work properly. Let you see the drive right here. Oh, that hushed drive motor sound. Disk boot failure. I may need to clean some drives. I'm just giving them a quick test. This is another Mitsumi drive. He is significantly newer than that other one. Like maybe an entire decade. Same sort of hushed tone, just not quite as refined. Some cost cutting happened there, I'm sure. Works fine. Drive works fine. Well, okay. We know that drive works for that. Will it read that? Apparently. Will it boot that? We'll see if it'll boot on that disk, just to test to see if my disks are bad. Invalid system disk. Yeah. I believe that's a bad disk. Yeah, I believe I have some bad floppies. That one made weird noises, that last one. And that's the disc I made on that other drive. So that one does work. This disc is certainly bad. Okay then. Well, we know that works. We know that other drive needs a cleaning at least. Puts my mind at ease on some of this equipment. But let's turn this off. There's one thing that I don't know if it made it on camera in a previous recording snippet, but just to prove on camera that it's not my Gotek that's giving me trouble. There it goes. It's booting. That's something it wasn't doing before. Well, it was on the socket 4 board. But what it wasn't doing was loading. It was giving general errors trying to load this. So Windows 3.1 setup screen. Never got this far. So we now know that it's not the USB stick, it's not this particular Gotek, it's not this cable or this controller. It's something to do with that board over there. This board that I was just trying to fire up and get working right. I don't see any scratches or broken traces or anything on it. But he doesn't seem to want to work right. I'll still work on him. But that's what I have to show. I now know what I'm dealing with and what problems there may be. And I thank you and have a good day.